I know I've told people in the past to take a deep breath and try and take in more oxygen, but the reality is that may have not been good advice. In fact, we may actually be in a chronic case of over breathing. So normally you breathe around 4 to 6 liters of air per minute, but it's pretty common for over breathing that people will breathe 2 to 3 times that much, so 10 to 15 liters a minute. So you'd think that the body would self-regulate that, but it may be that we don't regulate that well because life is different now, and certainly the stresses that are on our bodies are quite different as well. So just like we think that, well, deep breathing is good, it may be that, well, light breathing is even better. So if you think about someone who you've maybe done exercise with who's really fit, and you'll notice while you're panting and heaving, their breath is very light and even, and that's a sign of good fitness and health. So just like overeating has consequences, so does overbreathing. Now, where's this concept come from? This gentleman here is Konstantin Butiko, and he's the original dude that came up with this stuff. More recently, Patrick McEwen has used these concepts, same concepts, but he calls it the oxygen advantage. So how do you know if you overbreathe? Well, first things is check when you're out throughout the day. Just check in with yourself and check whether you're breathing through your mouth and whether your mouth is open. If you're sleeping, do you drool on the pillow? Do you wake up with a dry mouth? Are you a snorer, or do you hold your breath? So kind of sleep apnea type stuff as well. When you're during rest as well, at rest, observe your breathing. Is there a lot of energy put into that? And if that's the case, odds are you could be an overbreather. You can also test this using what's called the BOLT test, the body oxygen level test, and you'll get a score from that. Now, the way you do this one here is ideally you do it first thing in the morning, but you can do it other times, and we'll get you to do that now. So you'll just need a stopwatch. So get that one ready. The way you're going to do it is you're going to breathe normally. So no hyperventilating. So breathe normally. On a breath out, not a breath in, you're going to hold your breath. Keep holding your breath, and you're going to start your timer and see how long before you have your first desire to breathe. Now, what that'll look like is you may start swallowing a lot, or your eyeballs might start fluttering around, or your abs might start contracting, telling you need to breathe. And that's the time that you want to stop your stopwatch on, and that's your BOLT score. If you finish your test and you have to take a big suck in of breath there, you've held your breath too long, you haven't done the BOLT test correctly. So go back and do it and get your number. And here's what these numbers mean. Now, if you've been regularly exercising and you're doing okay, you're probably going to have a BOLT test of around 20 seconds. If you've got less than 15, I would be starting to get quite worried, and I'd prioritize breathing in your program very early on. If you've got less than 20, odds are that these are probably some of the symptoms that you have on a regular basis. If you're in your 30s, you're doing pretty well, but ideally we'd have you up to around the 40s. That would be in a great BOLT world. So what's the big deal with this? Well, the issue is that when you overbreathe, you'll also tend to get breathless during exercise, which can be a real problem, particularly if you want to do aerobic exercise in your program. Asthma and breathlessness are common, and particularly that will cause problems during exercise. Also, what will tend to happen is your chemoreceptors that sense carbon dioxide in your blood will be very easily stimulated, which will cause you to overbreathe. So there's kind of some biochem and physiology that goes with that. But the bottom line is if you want to improve your BOLT score and breathe more effectively, first of all, measure it. And you can do that by doing the BOLT score. Breathe through your nose day and night. Now, if you're doing maximal intensity exercise, that's obviously going to be a challenge. But if your BOLT score is really low, it's going to be a challenge for you anyway. But if you want to improve your BOLT score, breathe through your nose as much as possible. Work on your breathing technique. And I'm not going to go through diaphragmatic breathing and that sort of stuff, but I'm sure you guys understand that. But yeah, work on your breathing technique as well and check that your breathing mechanics are well. Those three things here would be a good start. There's plenty more we could go into, but that's a good place to start improving your BOLT score and improving your breathing efficiency.